Hi guys, welcome back to what I'm teaching this week. In this video, we're talking about 4th grade music lessons, and in this week, we are working on 16th notes. We are introducing 16th notes for the first time, and we are also doing like Olympic winter game theme lessons, which has been a huge hit. Now, before we get started, I do want to mention that all of the Winter Games activities are in my Winter Games virtual field trip, which I will link down below, and I'll talk about what I have here on my slides is a little bit different because it was like the first draft, and what you're getting is like the 6th draft, so it's much better, but I'll kind of talk through that as we go. So what we're doing is we're starting out this week by doing the song Bim Bum. This is a really easy song. It's a call and response, and I found actually a YouTube video of it with the body percussion, so I will link this down below, and it's really helpful. So basically, when it says bim, you clap; when it says bum, you snap; and when it says bitty bitty, you pat your legs. And the kids have been really liking it. This video in particular starts out super slow, but then it gets faster and faster and faster and faster, so by the end it's like super fast, and the kids have loved it. It has been so much fun. Yeah, it's been great. And then after that, we are starting with our first song of the week. And so this song is a Chinese New Year song, which is February 1st, I believe, this year. So we are singing this one in English because in the book that I have, it was in English, but in February, my plan is to do this song again in English, and then also to do a song in Chinese so that we get kind of like the best of both worlds. So this song goes, see the dragon come on 100 legs. He brings us all good cheer. Him we do not fear. Long life and peace and joy in the bright new year. Now, along with this, I asked them a bunch of questions. So I'll sing it through once, and I'm like, great, what animal is in this? And they're like, oh, a dragon. I'm like, great. And I'll sing it again, and then I'll ask them another question and kind of go through that so that they have to listen to the words. Then I'll pop it up on the screen, and I tell them to take their finger and pretend like it's a dragon moving up and down along with the melody, and I'll sing it again, and they have to move up and down along with it. Then I'll ask them, actually, I love asking them, where do you think this is from? And so most of them will guess China or around there because it's, you know, especially because it has dragons in it, and that is correct, it's from China. So I show them a couple of pictures from China as per usual, and so we talk about like different things in China. I show them where it is on the map, where we are, so they can see, you know, kind of all of those relations. And then I'm like, great, I picked China because this year there's something really special happening. That is the Olympics. Does anyone know what the Olympics are? We just had the Olympics, so hopefully somebody knows what it is, and so they'll, you know, kind of explain them. The Olympics is when a bunch of countries send their like top athletes to go compete against each other. It's like a really big deal. It only happens once every 4 years. This year it's in China, and so there's like the Winter Games versus the Summer Games, and we've been watching this video, I'll link it down below, that goes through a lot of the different sports so that the kids can see just like different sports. So I'm like, great, well, let's look at some of the things that are in the Winter Games. And then at the end, I'll ask them to recall as many as they can. And then what we're doing is we're taking those and we are figuring out the rhythms of them. So I'll go through and I'll show them the first one. And now this is in the virtual field trip, and it's really easy. It's like when you click on it, it tells you if that's correct or not. However, I changed ours because we don't know 16th notes yet, and so I just put 4 dots. So I have them all tell me if the answer is ta, ti ta, or bitty bitty is what we're calling it so far, because that's what it was in the song. And so it goes through, there's like bobsled, skis, curling, figure skater, those are 16th notes, hockey player, also that, luge, snowboard, and just a couple of those so they can kind of get through. Then after we get to speed skater, I'm like, great, we're gonna do something a little bit different, and we are going to see if we can do some figure skating. Now, this is something I've done with my little kids many times. This is the first time I've ever done it with 4th grade, and they have loved it. So what I do is up on the screen, I post different rhythms. So I have quarter note, 8th notes, and then we're calling them bitty bitty for now. You can't see it, there we go. And then the half note and the whole note, and we put them in our feet while we listen to, I've been using the John Williams like the theme song of the Olympics. I don't know what it's called. And so they have to move along with it. So we do it once at their seats, and then I let them do it around. I have carpets in the middle. So I have them go around the carpets like a speed skaters would go, you know, around in like a little circle or ellipse, oval, in an oval. And I tell them if they are wearing socks, then they can take their shoes off and slide to it. And so that's been going over actually really well. I thought they were gonna think it was stupid, but they have been having so much fun with that. And I just flip through, and so we'll do like quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, and we'll just go back and forth and back and forth. If you get the virtual field trip, this activity is included, but it does go with the song Winter by Vivaldi because copyright. So there's that, but it plays as a video, which makes it even easier because you can just play the video and the kids can do that, and then you can also add instruments, which is what I was going to do, but we're running out of time, so we didn't do the instruments with it. I was going to do the same thing but with instruments. Anyway, on Tuesday the kids come in and we quickly go over the dragon song, and then we go over Bim Bum again. So we watch the same video, we do the same thing, and I'm like, great, let me see if we can figure out the rhythm that goes along with one of the lines. So I'm like, okay, what about the one that went, what about the part that went bim bum bitty bitty bum? And so I'm like, great, what rhythm would be like bim? And they're like, oh, like a quarter note. I'm like, yeah. What about bum? Oh, a quarter note again. Great. I'm like, what about bitty bitty? And they're all like, you know, trying to figure it out. And I'm like, okay, let's see how many sounds. Bitty 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 bitty. And they're like, oh, it's 4. I'm like, do we know something with 4 sounds? And they're like, no. Or sometimes they'll be like, we could use 2 sets of 8th notes. I'm like, well, that would work, but I'm looking for 4 sounds on 1 beat. Do we know something with 4 sounds on 1 beat? They're like, no. I'm like, great, we're gonna learn a new rhythm today. And so I'll show them what the 16th notes look like. I'm like, these we're gonna call these ticka ticka. Their real name is 16th notes. And so I'll draw them, and so we'll try ta ta ticka ticka ta for that bim bum bitty bitty bum. And then we just really briefly go through a couple of rhythms that are again included in that virtual field trip so that they can practice a couple. So we'll just echo them, I'll do them, they'll do them, so that they can get used to that. Then we're pulling out the whiteboards and we are writing them. So I have a bunch of whiteboards and like expo markers, and so I give them those, and I am really, I mean, we literally just start, but I'm like, great, I'm gonna say a rhythm, can you write it down? And they're like, sure. And so we go through, and I usually start with just like ta ticka ticka ta ta, and then we get harder as we go. The first one I'll help them with a lot, and by the end I'm not helping them at all. I just say it and then they just go for it, and I see who's correctly doing it. Then at the end I always like to have them have a few minutes where they can write their own rhythm. So this week was really fun. So last week was really fun. They wrote their own rhythms and they were trying to stump me. They were like, I don't know if you could read this. And so they would like try a really hard one or a really long one. They love to write really long rhythms, which I think is hilarious. And then I'll go through and read them, and they're like, ah, and then, like try to make it harder. So funny, so funny. But that's a lot of fun. I always like to end with composition so they get a chance to do it themselves. And it's really fun if you have some time and you can tell them what I told them last week was make a rhythm and see if someone next to you can read it. And that's an easy way to just, you know, get them moving and talking and all of that stuff. On Wednesday, the kids come in and we're doing the dragon song again, and this time we're adding some triangles along with it. Next time they come, we're gonna do a like whole orff arrangement along with it, but for now we're just adding the triangles. Then we are reviewing our 16th notes, and we are playing the bobsled game. So this is something I completely made up, but what the kids are doing is I have printed out rhythms. Now there's 2 ways to do this. They're both included in the virtual field trip. Number 1, I printed out rhythms and I take them and I put them all across the floor, and I have the kids sit. I have like dots on my carpet, so if I'll have them sit like 1, 2, 3, or however many people I need so that it will work. And I tell them that's your bobsled. And so I make sure the front is even. So even if one has like 5 and another only has 4, they'll just be like an empty dot at the back. So the front is even. And so what we do is I'll say a rhythm, and the person in the back has to go find that rhythm and bring it to me. And whoever is the first person to bring it gets to go to the front of their line. And so that way your bobsled's moving up a little bit at a time, and then when you get to the end of the carpet, then your team has won. So really, really fun. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, there is also a digital way to do that instead. And so on the Google Slide virtual field trip, there's a tracker, so you can have them stay at their seats, or you can have them get in groups, and there's like a tracker so you can like move the person going across. Or if you know, are virtual or you just don't want to deal with all that, you can just have them go through the rhythms, and there's a little bobsledding guy who moves along with it. So if you want the kids to do it by themselves, they can just read all of the rhythms and then you can keep going. By the way, anytime you buy a Google Slides resource from me or download a free one, you are welcome to change things. My suggestion is to make a copy. So I like to copy it and I'll name it with the school name. So I'll say like, you know, Winter Games Virtual Field Trip Schumann, because that's where I work, it's at Schumann. And so that way I know that that's like my Schumann version. Or if I'm assigning it to the kids and I don't want them to have all the slides, then I'll make a copy and I'll say like assignment. So that way I know that that's the assignment, and I can change that one, but I always leave the original one intact so that if I want to come back and get something that I had changed, I can always do that. I think you can also re-download it from TPT. So there's that option as well. Now, as much fun as that game is, that's actually my optional day. So if you've been around and you've watched many of these, you know that I see my kiddos for 5 days in a row. So for a week, and then I don't see them for about a month. But I don't like ever have a 5-day week, because inevitably there's a day off, or there's an assembly, or there's, you know, whatever is happening. But typically I only see them for 4 days. It's very rare that I have a 5-day week. So if we only have a 4-day week, that's actually the day that we have to skip, because honestly, I wasn't originally adding the rhythm writing in, but I was like, they need this, so we're doing it anyway, and it's fine. So we might do that again in February to kind of catch up. So on Thursday or Wednesday or whatever day it ends up being, they are doing centers, and centers are some of my favorites, so that's really exciting. So for my centers, I always do 3 things, and I split them into 6 groups typically, although my 4th grades are kind of small, so that there's like 2 groups doing the same thing, 2 groups doing the same thing, and then 2 groups up at the front with me. So their things are, number 1, doing the dragon song on xylophone. So now that we've done it for a few days, they've kind of got it in their brains. And so I give them a piece of paper that just has the rhythm with the letters, and then they go through, and I also add the words so they can kind of sing along. And then they just go through and figure it out on the xylophones. I love doing this. It gets them to really think through it. It's really nice differentiating wise, because they can kind of work at their own pace. So if they only need to work on the first line, that's fine. And it's just a great time. Number 2 is they're using the Winter Games manipulatives to create different rhythms and then write them. So they're taking the manipulatives that say like figure skater, and so they might do like figure skater, sled, figure skater, hockey, or whatever. And then they're writing them with their markers on the whiteboards, which is why I included that earlier this week, so that they know how to do that. So they can do that in partners or by themselves. They just like line up their 4 or however many they want, and then do them. So I print these out and I cut them up and I put them in baggies so that everyone gets their own bag. That's really easy. Or if you want to just throw them in a box and they can just take whatever they got, that's fine too. And then the 3rd thing is the kids up at the front are working with me, and we're working on dictation. So I'll say a rhythm, they have to write the rhythm, and then once they get it right, they get to play it on the rhythm sticks. And then with the groups who are understanding a little more quickly, I will let them create their own rhythms or work with a partner so that they say a rhythm, the partner has to write it down, and then they get to, you know, play it on there. All right, then we're on Friday, and Friday is actually super, super chill. So the first thing we're doing is we are doing this rhythm play along that does not go with anything else, but it is a lot of fun. So this is a rhythm play along that goes with the song Ghostbusters, and it just, you know, I searched 16th note play along, and that was the most interesting one that popped up. And so we go through that usually once, and then I'll go through and we'll stop on each different rhythm and play them to practice. And then I will let them get instruments and play along with the instruments. So we've been using rhythm sticks. Actually, I think we used drums one week and rhythm sticks the other week. Just whatever they want, pretty much. And so I'll ask them, what would you like to use? And usually they're like, let's play the drums. And I'm like, okay. Then after that, we're doing a really quick exit ticket. I just give them a piece of paper that has 4 boxes on it. And so I'm just reading 4 different rhythms, and they have to write them down for dictation so that I can see who is understanding our 16th notes. They all have 16th notes in them, and that's kind of what we worked on all week long. And then after that, we have game time. So my kiddos earn points all week so that they can have game time on Friday, and so however many points they got from good behavior, that's how many minutes of game time they have on Friday. And yeah, so I like to keep Friday super chill so that we get as much time for game time as possible, because the worst is being like super rushed and being like, we have to do game time, but we're out of time. And I take my 4th graders to lunch, so like it's just a hot mess. So that being said, super chill on Fridays, and it's a good time. So that is what we're doing in 4th grade. It's gone over actually really well. Sometimes I have like new things and I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but it's been really great. So I will link that virtual field trip to the winter games down below in the description, and that will give you a whole bunch of things and activities that you can do with your kiddos. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.